And Jada joins me now. She's a contributor for the Washington Post. Jada, thanks so much for being with us. An intriguing title to your piece there. You report that for Gabbard's supporters, quote, feeling left out and marginalized is their high. So what type of voter is Tulsi Gabbard resonating with on the ground?
I think Tulsi Gabbard is resonating with people who feel left out of both the Democratic and the Republican parties. So independents. It's even shown that in Iowa, she's supported by more Republicans than Democrats, which is not going to be the greatest for her trying to win that caucus. But it does explain she's in a kind of lane on her own. Her values are progressive, liberally. She's a lot like Bernie Sanders. But she also talks to people with military backgrounds really well. And she talks a lot about non-interventionism, that she doesn't want us, she wants to get us out of foreign wars. And that's what I found when I went to this party in Atlanta. She had about 150 people there who were hanging out in, a very dark area of Atlanta. I mean, there was nothing around it. It was an old music school, and they were there for the night. There was no alcohol. There was like pretty not great pizza, and they just wanted to. They found a community with themselves, which was really great.
Well, as you mentioned in the article, these voters have been described as diehard Gabbard fans. So you touched on it a moment ago, but what issues are motivating them?
It's mainly this thing about, they're a little bit libertarianist. They care about getting us out of foreign wars. They care about civil liberties. They're big fans of Edward Snowden, from the many that I talk to, and really don't think that the NSA should be spying on us. And they also really care about this level of authenticity they think that Gabbard has. If you see her on the debate stage, she seems to be talking to the American people. She has this sort of interesting affect where she looks straight at the camera and she is like she's not really paying attention to everything that's going on around her. And they really love that. She's served in the military. She's spent 16 years in the National Guard. She's still in the National Guard. She didn't make the September debate because she had to take 2 weeks off for training, and that really put a bump into her campaigning. But she's doing well. She's in a lane of her own, and that's what I think they like.
And you report that Congresswoman Gabbard actually resonates with supporters in a way that President Trump does with his voters. What similarities can you draw between the two candidates, especially when it comes to campaign style?
I think that it's that she's not, she doesn't feel like the establishment. That's really, despite the fact that she's a congresswoman and she's been serving in the Congress for years, what she's doing is she's getting on stage and she's kind of taking hits from everyone and giving hits back to as many other people on the stage. She's saying that there's systematic corruption in the Democratic Party while being on a Democratic debate stage, which is pretty remarkable. And the other thing that I do think when you talk to people who have gone to Trump rallies and keep going to Trump rallies, they have found a community there. And what struck me when I was at the party was that Tulsi Gabbard seems maybe a little robotic on the debate stage, if that's the only if that's the only thing you're getting from her. You see her in her white suit, she's talking in this monotone to the camera, but when she gets in that room with her supporters, her dad was there, he was playing music, it was very folksy. It sort of felt like a 70s revival politics gathering. It was really interesting to be there, and I can see why they'd want to keep showing up for her. And also, if you follow her on Twitter, she's very engaging. She's from Hawaii, and she's been campaigning in New Hampshire, and there's like videos of her running around in the snow. There's something, I can't entirely put my finger on it, but I do think it's that she feels apart from everything that people are fed up with in the Democratic Party.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if, in fact, she's able to get to that threshold she needs to make it on the debate stage, given that enthusiasm that you say you have witnessed among her supporters. But I want to talk about another female candidate, one not running for president. Valerie Plame has launched a congressional bid in New Mexico, and you write that she is, quote, the most famous ex-spy in America experiencing political deja vu. So remind us, who is Valerie Plame and what do we know about her campaign?
Valerie Plame was a CIA officer, if that's the correct term. And so she was a covert spy overseas. And in 2003, her name got leaked in a column that was actually published in the Washington Post by a conservative columnist. And her identity was revealed. It was largely, people thought, a response, like the Bush administration had done it in response to a bad op-ed that her husband had written that was damning them. And it created a saga that became a movie. I mean, it captured the national imagination for 10 years, basically. That, you know, she went from being anonymous to being outed, and it was a giant scandal for the Bush administration. That didn't really result in very much in the end, but her career she couldn't be a covert CIA agent at that point, and she wound up moving to New Mexico with her family. And it's been 12 years since that happened, and we haven't, since the movie came out about her memoir, which starred Naomi Watts and Sean Penn. Naomi Watts played her in a movie. There's a gap. We don't know what she's been up to, but it turns out she decided to run for Congress in New Mexico. And it's an intriguing story, at the least, with national interest.
Yes, yet another fascinating race that we will be watching. Jada Yuan. Jada, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.